Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. My name is Mars, and today we're going to be talking about the tanking half of the AI Katy Perry complete guide, because she is that thick of a unit that she got so much to talk about. But first of all, thank you guys for putting up with my sponsored videos last week. I know not everybody loves being advertised to, but every single penny of that does go to Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, for me to do polls, for me to do content. I make content so I can make sponsored content so that I can poll more to do more content. That's how it goes for me, so I appreciate you guys being willing to put up with that. Now, with that said, AI Katy Perry is a pretty excellent tank unit, and she is pretty straightforward, so there's not going to be too much detail about complicated builds or rotations or anything, but a little bit more regarding the sort of things that you can combo her with, because she does offer a lot of stuff. So, of course, the most important tanking skills that she has in her arsenal are way down here. It's directive defensive measures and directive protective measures. Now, each of these respectively cover either physical or magical damage, activate a 5,000 HP barrier, and buffs whatever relevant stat. So if it's the physical cover, it buffs defense, and if it's the magical cover, it buffs spirit. So let's go ahead and see what one of those looks like. Oh yeah. And that 5,000 HP barrier is no joke. It's seriously really good. And that's basically her tank cover skills. If you use her as a tank, you're usually just going to be using her for that. What makes her special as a tank unit is her ability to both be geared for either physical, magical damage, or both, in addition to being able to break and do some other stuff at the same time. So, of course, the thing that most people are interested in is her ability to break at the same time that she's able to tank, and it's super easy to do. You use her tri-core processor triple casting skill. You use system update, and this upgrades a bunch of her following abilities, and in this case, we want it to upgrade her hacking system. Okay, this is her single target full break of 70%, and the nice thing is, it doesn't do this normal version. Okay, if you are triple casting and you use system upgrade as your first ability, then you will automatically get the upgraded hacking system. So that's really nice. I know a lot of people were wondering about that initially, like, oh hey, do I have to have somebody else break on turn 1, or do I have to deal with crappy breaks on turn 1? Nope, that's not the case. When you do system update, you get the upgraded hacking system as part of that triple cast. And then of course you can triple cast a cover with that, and that's pretty much the wombo combo that is super awesome. So with that, she full breaks the boss, she activates a cover, and she's ready to roll. Now, one thing that is important to keep in mind is that if you are using her as your breaker, you are pretty much required to either be willing to wait 4 turns for her cooldown to be able to use the enhanced break again, or you have to use hacking system every turn. So that gives you some options here as a tanker. If you want, you can use like a double chaining skill. So if you're using like a bolting strike chaining family, you could use like 2 of these to chain up and then finish with a hacking system, because you have to use the upgraded skills to keep the upgraded skills until you're able to use the cooldown again, if that makes sense. So in this case, that's something you'd be able to do, is go ahead and do that, double cast. You could chain up with a support unit, you could chain up with, I think like Mira, for example, has bolting strike frames on one of her chaining abilities, so you could run a finisher, for example, chain AI Katy Perry, and then finish with that finisher unit. And it is also worth noting that you can do that with the other chaining family skills down here as well. And as you can see, the ones we didn't use did not stay upgraded, okay? So combative measures and offensive measures we didn't use, so they didn't stay upgraded. So that's important to keep in mind. Now, of course, you probably aren't using a tank Katy Perry for the damage itself, but if you are using her as a breaker, and the whole point is that you want to be able to break whenever you need to break. You kind of need to be using this every turn. Now the good news is, if you decide, you know what, I don't want to be breaking every turn, I want to break turn 1 and then it'll fall off, and turn 4 I can deal with it again. What you can instead do is rely on her limit burst to provide full breaks for you, and this is great because it buffs her own stats and also does that 70% full break as well as doing some damage. So this is another option just in case your hacking system plus break is not an option. So that's super handy for that. And it does a fair amount of damage too. Like, that's not bad. This one right here is built as a tank. Like, she has... Well, wait, how the freak does she still have offensive stats? What the crap? Damn. As you can see, it buffs her stats too. So, this... she has over 1,000 in every stat. Oh, goodness. What a ridiculous little monster we got going on here. Anyways, that's pretty much the bulk of the covering and breaking aspect. You're often going to run her in conjunction with a draw attacks or provoke tank, and that works super well because then she can allow you to slot out a breaker in that case. But I do want to talk about some of the other abilities that she can use at the same time as tanking. So for example, if you just do that turn 1 break and then you just decide to feather in this limit burst break at another time, instead of trying to keep her upgraded break every single turn, that's totally fine. There's a lot of stuff then that you can do on your free turns. Or if in, like in my case, in my example with Blood Moon Kai, I didn't actually use it much in terms of support skills, I was just cover swapping. But some of the skills that are most worthy of note are going to be, of course, Kiraja. Kiraja is a large heal, and you can dual cast it. She has triple black magic, which you're not going to use very much, but she does at least have dual cast, which works on all of her magic. So if, for example, you want one of her heals with Kiraja, and you could do Kiraga, not sure why you do that, but hey, you can. Kiraja if you needed heals, and that's super helpful in tank slot to have some heals. The other thing, of course, you can do is some of her Barga spells. So if you're up against a boss that uses a lot of one of these elements, you can go ahead and throw one of those in there. Bada bing, bada boom. You've got cover covered, you've got breaks covered, and you can do some of this Helio Delio with some elemental resistance. You can see that Kiraja did like 18,000 healing, okay? I mean, this AI Katy Perry, of course she is going to be stronger than probably your run-of-the-mill AI Katy Perry, but 1757 Spirit is pretty ridiculous. That's better than a lot of the healers that people are running. So that's fantastic. Now, some of the other things that she can dual cast, of course, we have, you know, Barga spells in every color except black and white, so that's great, or light and dark, whatever. I think it's handy that she has Ultima and Meteor, because then it makes it easy if you need to do a kill with magic mission, because I'm sure you know this, but both of these spells have super long animation times, and if you're like me and you hate trying to like, oh, I gotta fit a Thundaga at the end of the spell or something, you could just easily cast one of those, no problem, get your kill with magic mission. It won't cancel the attack once the animation has started, so you know how a lot of times if you do a kill with Esper mission and you do your chain and kill the boss and the Esper's animation hasn't finished, the damage won't go out. That doesn't happen with these particular spells, so that's handy to have. Now, some of the other things that she does have that you can do in conjunction with her tanking, of course she has Drain and Osmos if you need some HP or MP. She has Raise, which is really handy to have, and of course you can combo that with Kiraja, so it's basically a Raise with full healing, or you can do a double Raise with dual cast, which is awesome. Now, some of the other abilities that are really handy to keep in mind that she has are Freeze, Flood, and Tornado, because these are chaining abilities, and if you want to do kind of what I was alluding to before, where you have her as a tanker slash support chainer, and you run a finisher, or you run, you run a combo where you need support chaining, she is really good with that. I think one of the best combos that I can think of is White Knight Noel. White Knight Noel can fill your provoking needs, and he is the sturdiest provoke tank in the game. He's absurdly good at it. And then he also can triple cast with a cooldown skill, of course, or he can dual cast the Tornado and Freeze abilities, so he's able to chain with AI Katy Perry, apply those wind or ice imperils as needed, and they can fill your support chaining needs. And that's awesome. I think that's probably one of the strongest combos in the game, not just, just for Katy Perry, but in general, one of the strongest tanking combos is going to be White Noel with AI Katy Perry. Now, you can pair her with other people who can provide support chains. I think Rem is a great example if you want to do some support tornado chains. I'm not the hugest fan of Rem because Type 0 is actual garbage. I'm memeing a little bit too much. Anyways, beside the point, that's great. That's a great option to have. Somebody to chain some tornadoes with. Flood also is really nice because you can combo that with anybody that has Leviathan equipped, as long as he's got that particular chaining skill. Or you can use him with people like Eurisha or Nickel. And if I remember right, I don't remember if Folka has a Flood skill. I know she can upgrade them, but anyways, anybody that's got that, that's great. You'll notice that Quake doesn't have a chain family listed because Quake is a disgrace among chain families. But if for whatever reason you have somebody who has Quake and you want to use them to chain with your AI Katy Perry for some support reasons, you can totally do that. And that's what's awesome about her, is that if really the value you're trying to get out of her is her covering plus something else, she's really got it for you. Covering plus breaking, no problem. Covering plus healing, no problem. Covering plus bar spells, no problem. Covering plus support chaining, no problem. Like, she's got it all. And that's why for me she was kind of an irresistible tank pick, because the number of combos that you can run with this is really awesome, especially because the break cover combo allows you to slot out a dedicated breaker. As much as I like using dedicated breakers, sometimes life is just easier if you have that free slot. So you could take 2 healers, 2 supports, 2 tanks, whatever. You have an extra party slot to work with. So the next thing I want to look at real quick is builds. I'm not going to do the normal thing where I show like example builds, because with tanking, builds are super subjective, especially when you're talking about somebody like AI Katy Perry, who can equip literally everything in the game. She can equip everything. So it definitely can be a little bit overwhelming to look at all of her passives, which are all down here, and decide, oh no, what do I equip? But it's really not too bad. Most of the logical tank equips that you could choose, they do offer sensible amounts of defense or spirit depending on what you equip. So for example, in the shield slot, if you go with a heavy shield, you get more defense. If you go with a light shield, you get more spirit. Awesome. There are 2 slots though that I would say you may want to pay attention to, because you can get just a little more value out of depending on what you're equipping. But in the case of the weapon slot, if you equip a staff, she gets 50% spirit, whereas many of her other percent passives in the weapon slot are only 30%. So you can equip, like for example, when I was first equipping her, I was like, oh, I want to use Lilith's flail on her because she can equip it. And it's 40% HP and 20% defense and 20% spirit, and it's really, really amazing. But she doesn't actually have any passives for that. But what she has instead is a passive for staves, and so equip a staff, bada bing, bada boom, that's plus 50% spirit. That's really, really nice. And so you just want to make sure that you are activating the weapon passives that you are hoping you are. So not all of them work equally. The staff is the highest percentage of a tank stat gained by having it equipped, so not a bad pick there. The other one that's worth pointing out is the chest slot, and this one's a little bit more ambiguous. Most of the time you're gonna be better off equipping heavy armor, even though you don't get as much stats, but the nice thing is that they give you some options. Clothes I would personally recommend if you're going for someone who needs both defense and spirit, because it gives her 40% HP, which is quite a lot for a single passive. 40% HP really helps you bulk out, but your different armor types, whether it's robes or heavy armor or whatever, they'll either activate defense or spirit passives respectively, and that's great, but sometimes you need a little bit of both, and 40% HP works against all types of damage. So that's something that's worth keeping in mind, is that Calming Garb is the best tank clothes item, and it's not real tanky, like it's not real amazing. It does give you some flat HP, which is great. It gives you a decent chunk of defense and spirit, as well as some MP. So that's why I use Calming Garb, is because that 40% HP lets me use her against both physical and magical attacks, because it's just extra HP. But if, for example, you're going against a fight and you know you just need it for magic damage, maybe go for a robe or something that will give you more spirit, or the opposite, you know, go for armor or something that will give you extra defense if you're fighting a physical boss. So I think those are pretty much my only two notes. As far as gearing goes, you just want to hook her up with your best tank equip. Make sure that your weapon that you're equipping has a stat passive that you're anticipating, because not all of them do. In fact, I may be able to look real quick. It's hard to look here in the game. But like this one is 50% with a staff. Oh yeah, instrument's the other one with high spirit. Spirit with robe, hat, light shield. See, light shield if you want the spirit stuff, and then here's all your defensive stuff. Heavy shield, heavy armor, helmet, and then this one's your clothes, HP and MP. Defense with light armor. Where's the one with the weapons? Goodness, she has so many passives, and they all have so many things stuffed in them. I wonder if it's this one. Nope. This is light and heavy shield. Let's see, where it at? Nope. Oh, spirit with a bow. Bow's another option, but we don't have, there's only one-handed bow, and it's not very good, so probably not recommended. Oh crap, I wanted to find this. Where the crap did it go? Attack, attack, attack. Dang. Anyways, I know it's in there somewhere. That's a lot of attack ones, a lot of magic ones. Where's the defense ones? Anyways, you do also want to make sure that, as another note, you want to have her TMR or her STMR equipped, because the nice thing about her TMR is that it does grant her ribbon as well as some defense and spirit, and it procs her passives, which give her some extra tanky stats. It's like an extra 30% on those, and it gives her triple cast, so make sure you don't miss that. And if you wanted to use her upgrade package to help her out in tank mode, it does have the nice bit where it gives some HP and MP at the start of each turn, as well as the security version update, which gives you 40% spirit when equipped with light or heavy shields. Or wait, hold on, I have it backwards. Can equip light or heavy shields, boost spirit by 40%, and defense and HP by 20% with a light shield, or it reverses it. More defense with a heavy shield, a little bit less spirit. So this is an exceptionally tanky accessory. Highly, highly recommended if you just need that little bit of tanky oomph. But I mean, let's be honest. You and I both know that you're putting upgrade package on your damage dealers because EPing is more important than anything else. So, you know, you can't lie to me. I know how this game works. I've been playing this game for a while, but she's been an exceptional unit. And as far as whether or not she's worth your investment or how she compares against other tanks, I don't know if you can see these stats right here, but they're outrageous. 26,000 HP, 1,500 defense, 1,750 spirit, and those are just her defensive stats. She's got over 1,000 MP, 1,300 attack, and 1,250 magic. Crazy, crazy stats, all for a tank build. A lot of people say, well, she looks like she's just Bosch, but, you know, better breaking, and that's more or less true. She is also slightly tankier than him when you factor in that HP barrier that she gets for covering, and you can reactivate that every turn. That's an extra 5,000 HP. That's like a 20% increase to your health pool. It's pretty ridiculous. Nobody else can apply barriers like that to themselves or to other people. So the fact that she can spam it every single turn makes her outrageously tanky. And it's very helpful if you are doing cover swapping techniques. So as far as whether or not she's worth it for you, I think, you know, her banner's already come and gone, so it's too late to make a decision about polling. But if you do have her and you're like, well, you know, I wanted her for damage or I wanted her for her TMR, you can absolutely consider her for tanking. She is not second rate in any way when it comes to tankiness. She's not second rate when it comes to raid utility or battle utility, you know, so to speak. She's got pretty much everything that you need in a tank slot and then a bunch more. Her drawback, of course, is that she doesn't have any sort of draw attacks or provoke. Now, of course, you can supplement that if you did feel like you wanted to use Golem and Moogle plushie or something like that. You absolutely can, although I think she is best utilized as a partner to a provoke tank or some other setup like that. And one of the other things that's worth pointing out is that unlike someone like Charlotte or Seacard, she cannot apply general mitigation or even split mitigation to the party, so you do have to keep that in mind, that, you know, your buffs and your mitigation and stuff have to come from somewhere in some of those harder fights, because some of those harder fights get pretty impossible to do without them. So keep that in mind. That's something else that she doesn't quite provide. So other than that, I think that about covers it. Let me know what you think of tanky AI Katy Perry down in the comments below, and I'll see everybody in the next video.